All right. So, everybody, we are back and we are ready to get this roundtable discussion kicked off. It's been a hell of a day. Again, I really can't thank everyone that's, been watching and just, participating in the chat. All you guys rock. We got some of the speakers here with us this evening and we're going to bring them in. But first, I'd like to bring in our co-organizer here, Mr. Joe Murray. What's going on, dude? Where the
What's
fuck have you been all
good?
day?
Chilling, bro. What a day, man.
I
Had some
know.
technical difficulties in the beginning, but you
That's
are a fucking
okay.
champ, man. You worked right through it and you jumped right on and you did a phenomenal job. Round of applause, buddy.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you.
job, dude.
Thank you. So, I want to hear from you just for a second while I'm pulling up a better background. So, tell us a little bit about your writing process for the song.
I don't write. I write in here. First of all,
Okay.
I rehearse. I think of what I want to say. I didn't since I was young, man. Since my teens, I stopped writing because it felt unnatural to me when I got up to the booth and would like read off a piece of paper. So I got to come up with it on my own and not keep repeating it in my head. I'll write it in my head. And I just got nice with it like that and store all that shit up in here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I just felt like that may actually even be the name of the album that me and Diesel are doing, Shattering the Illusion. But and that's going to be featured on the album. We're actually going to close the album with that track. But coming up with the lyrics for it, man, I just had the conference in mind, and yeah, just wanted to break down how I felt about shattering the illusions of the world. Like I wanted to say, I think the way it came together too, from my verse and his verse, like, I broke down what the problem was, the mind control that's going on, the illusions that people are under, and how there are, separation that wake up and remember who they are, why they're here, and that, they're here, they came here purposefully to engage in this battle and to try to wake other souls up and to for this battle of good and evil that's going on. And I state what the issue is, what the problem is, what the mind control and the illusions that people are under, and then he comes in with the solutions of understanding natural law and objective morality. And man, the way it came together is fucking super dope, man. He came up with the hook for it, and he's one of the best. So yeah, man, it was
Awesome.
awesome.
Awesome. Well, let's bring in the rest of our featured presenters, featured speakers that are participating in our roundtable discussion this evening. We got where'd he go? There he is. There we got Sean McCann. Hey Sean. And
Howdy, howdy.
we got Ivan from Phoenix, Ivan Oyola Jr.
Hello, hello.
and Mr. Will Keller. How's it
What's
going,
up,
Will?
gentlemen? Doing well,
Yes,
doing
sir.
well.
It's good to have everybody be able to put put a little bit, put their eyes on all of us together, after such a long day. Well, look at you, Sean. You got enough eyeballs for all of us. Look at me. Dude, I'm wicked smart, dude. All right.
You don't know the half of it.
So
Where's the past master, man?
I've seen Mark Passio pop in and out of the list here a couple times. He's probably just trying to configure things to make sure that everything's good for him to go. But hey, guys, we did it. Hell of a team effort. Thank you so much.
What a fucking phenomenal job you all did.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, I'm like in awe, man. I can't believe, like, first of all, that we actually did this. Like, it actually manifested. We've been talking about it for like for a long time, dude. Even over a half a year, we're talking about doing something like this. But to see it actually happen and how each of you came with it, like your slides, what you presented, how you presented it, just fucking top notch. I'm so proud of you guys, man. You guys did a phenomenal job, man. Each talk is so easy to share for people, I feel, and everyone picked very important topics, and you guys nailed it, man. You knocked each and every one of you knocked it out of the park. I love you. I got mad love for you all, mad respect for you all. Thank you so much for your amazing contributions towards this
Cheers, man.
conference,
Thanks
man,
for
for real.
All right. Well, Mark is here too. Mark Passio, thank you.
Oh, there he is.
dude.
Hey guys,
Hey,
Awesome.
Mark.
Awesome.
What's up, Mark?
I'm actually in Reading, Pennsylvania tonight with a local activist group called Daylight Rising, and we just had a watch party for the whole conference.
Oh, great.
People really seem to have enjoyed it. I think every presenter did a fantastic job. Organization went really great. I want to thank everybody involved for making this event ultra successful. And you guys are an example of what can be done to advance things along in the great work. So I want to thank each and every one of you.
Well, it was really just a big old team effort at the end of it all, from the beginning, soup to nuts. It was just a big team effort. This type of thing cannot happen if it's just one person. I was clicking buttons and doing stuff like that. I had a lot of moral support from Sean, Ivan, Joe, Will throughout the entire day. We were in constant communication with one another, and a lot of moral support from these guys. Will contributed a bunch of animation, graphics to the conference. Joe contributed a bunch of music, Sean with his photography that we were featuring, and Ivan came with, the heat with his presentation as usual. So, I mean, and of course the texting back and forth with Ivan and the rest of the guys throughout the day was imperative to my ability to be able to continue bringing forward through all the technical difficulties and all the things that were, the trials and tribulations of the day, just to keep a good head on my shoulders, to keep pushing forward, to not give up and not get frustrated. I was angry. I got a little bit heated when I was off camera and somebody else was playing. I didn't understand what was going on, but we kept on track, and technology is a son of a bitch. And I wasn't going to let it stop me. I wasn't going to let it stop me.
You had to hear Mark's voice in the back of your head, like, you man up, you buck up, and you pull through.
Yeah, I mean, sort of.
Well,
yeah, for sure.
You gotta find a way, right?
Persistence, never give up, and it's also a team effort to keep things on track. And you guys really came through.
And
Thank
James, I mean, your technical abilities were great, but your presentation was top notch. You really smashed it, dude. It was great. And I heard things that I talk to you all the time, man. I heard things that I had never heard you say before. And I'm like, oh, I'm still learning, even though I'm your best bud,
Yeah.
So it was really good. And I really am so happy to be able to share it with others and all of that. You really did a great job.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a question, James. What are we doing with the videos, man? Like, where are they going to be posted?
So we have we have multiple channels, YouTube, Odyssey, and even the website, where if everybody is in agreement, we can post the individual files there. Of course, it's up to every one of you guys that contributed, because it is your intellectual property, in my opinion. So whatever you guys want to do with it is the plan. So we can post it on the Odyssey channel, the YouTube channel, and the website, or we can just direct people to your individual places to gain more attention for the rest of you guys' work. Up to you. You let me know, and we'll figure it out.
I'm open source. It'll be everywhere. Throughout the day, I was already thinking of uploading it and just like, fuck it, it's out there.
I put mine up because I want people to be able to download it from the Odyssey, so that people can download it and share it for free. They don't need a special YouTube downloader or whatever. Odyssey's good with that. There's a button, you just click it, and I want people to be able to share. So it's definitely there for everybody that Wake the Dead on Odyssey. Mine anyway.
Cool.
Yeah, I got to pay my respects to you guys, James and Joe. This was a phenomenal conference. James, I totally understand tech issues, and you stuck with it. You pressed on, and it was a phenomenal conference. I mean, the presentations were just incredible. There's so many correlations and correspondences with the presentations that go with everyone else's presentation. It just really, the puzzles fit together, and it was a huge success. So much respect to both of you and to all the presenters.
That's great. Yeah, thank you, Will. Yeah, man. Joe and I have been planning this since April, and one of the first conversations we had about this was I I was out to breakfast with my family, and we enjoy going to a breakfast joint that's right next to a locally owned theater. Theater sits about 200 people, and I was in the lobby of the theater because the restaurant is so small. They use the lobby of the theater as a waiting room for the people like on their list, right? So I'm in there, and this guy's putting around doing some cleaning or whatever, and turns out it's the owner of the theater. I'm talking to him. He shows me around, and find out he rents out the theater. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe I could do a live presentation here. Maybe I could do that, get a couple of hours out of this place. And I talked to Joe about it because Joe and I, became fast friends after what, like a year ago. And then he's like, "Oh, we could do a conference. How about a conference?" And I was like, "Oh, in person?" And we talked about it, mulled it over. It wasn't really practical, too expensive really when it comes down to it, to get all the speakers out and to really make it happen and feel like it was a success. I guess it was just a little impractical.
And at the
So
time, there was still fucking, bullshit going on with the scamdemic. You know what I mean? There was
yeah,
still a lot of places were requiring masks, and really didn't see any kind of end to that in the near future.
yeah.
You know?
And this was back in, I believe, February or March, right after the first funnel event. And of course, last year we had the Seed 4 conference from Brandon Martin and those guys over there, and it just inspired me to be like, you know what, we could do this online. Joe, you down? All right, let's figure it out. And then a couple weeks went by. Joe texts me, he goes, "Are we doing this or not?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're doing this." And he's like, "All right, let's go. Let's get it going. Let's do it. Let's start inviting people."
I'm saying it was before April. This was a while ago, man. This
Yeah.
had to be like over a year ago that we even, thought about doing this, But it took a
Yeah.
minute to actually get going with it and get it off the ground. But yeah, it's amazing how everything came together, man. And to see it actually manifest again it's crazy. You see your vision happen, and how everyone exceeded my expectations, man. It was just so amazing day. Really
Yeah.
was.
Well. So anyone out there watching this, feel free to get some questions in. And if there's anybody in the round table that you want to ask a question, or it doesn't even have to be directed personally toward anybody in the round table, it can just be a question of any topic. There's plenty of us here that are well versed in a lot of the topics that were presented to us throughout the day today. So yeah, feel free to pop in the chat and just get a question in. So anyways, to keep it going, I want to ask Will about his process about, creating those animations that we got to use. Man, you're going to have to teach me how to do that,
Yeah,
because
for
those were
real.
awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a cool combination. I'll send you some links, and yeah, we can talk about how to start that process.
Awesome. All right.
It's good eye candy, especially for an online conference.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I didn't know you had that many on deck either. I thought you just had the one, James. You kept that hidden from me, man.
Yeah. Well, it's the element of surprise, right? So, I mean, so we do have a question here. We have a question for Sean, and that is from Still Stormwaters. The question is, your presentation is powerful. The issue of male partial castration of circumcision is so taboo in the public conscious. What brought this up?
My own trauma, right? Like looking at doing shadow work and recognizing that it affected my own life a lot more than I believed it ever had. And I had, it's a real thing. And I see it in the world. I see how people react to it. And, I'm dealing with that understanding and learning about what has happened to me. And we just had a baby about 3 years ago. It'll be his birthday in November, the 5th of November. And it's great. Yeah. And so that actually like cemented it. Like I really looked into it because of him. And of course, we would never, and Jennifer would never allow me to even try to circumcise him, But just because we're having a male child, we, made sure to look into and we read the horror stories, and you know, there some doctors will just do it, you know, and say, oh, it's normal, and then you know, like we had to really be vigilant with our baby, um, you know, and it like that understanding changed how I see the world, and I understand how many people like me didn't confront it ever in their own life, and they never think about it because it is trauma, and the trauma causes the blindness, like I said in my piece, and so that like people can go their whole life and then they can be an anarchist, and they can be you know, they can love freedom for others, but then when the question comes, oh, do you want to cut your baby up, and they'll just, oh yeah, of course, you know, and it's just like such a, I see other people do that, and I see, you know, I see the way that others react on Facebook also, like the way that people throw their opinions around about this subject. It's really gross. Like some of the women that talk, and how, like, I mean, they're sexualizing a little baby, you know, and how thinking about the future, touching it. We hear Lily upstairs. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, it it was a big part of my life, and I the understanding this, I figured, could be helpful for everybody, um, not just men and women, like to understand what happened to their brothers and fathers, you know, their husbands and stuff, and for men to understand what happened to them, and of course to stop the practice so that, you know, we can be big enough to understand, yes, it I was harmed, and no, I would never harm my son, you know, like if we can understand that and make that change, and then it'll be normal to have an intact body from then on in your generations of your family. You know, your son would be like, why would I want to do that? It's fine. You know, if we can be the ones to stand up and say, you know, no more harming others, you know, and it's like the core of anarchy, and like this thing is shattering the illusion, and the illusion of authority. Some doctors saying, oh, it's cleaner, it's better, whatever, you know, like the crazy idea, like the reasons, oh, he might, you know, in gym class he might be weird, so chop it off. Like it's you know, that kind of blind belief in authority is just the same kind of shit as statism, excuse my language, and it's so, like, I just figured I wanted to highlight that to all of these people here that all understand bodily autonomy and freedom, and but then they don't think about that one topic because in their own personal life it's trauma, so you don't want to look at it, don't want to understand it, and then it continues. So it's a big thing in the world to, like, it to, if we can stop that trauma, it'll change the minds of the future people. Like they will have an intact mind too, you know, because it, like I said, it doesn't only like harm the body, it harms the brain and the emotions, and that future person is changed forever. So we want to get back to natural humans that can love and have, you know, we don't want to be hitting everybody with trauma once they come out of the womb. You know,
Right.
it's total Satanism. So
Right.
that's why.
You know, there's something funny, a correspondence between you and Jennifer's presentation and my own. Something that I've been kind of thinking about is how many of these children, because through my presentation, we found out that the majority of people diagnosed with ADHD are are boys,
Right.
and that is a fact. It's indisputable, and I question how many of those boys were circumcised, and is this behavior, the behavior of a child diagnosed with ADHD, a manifestation of the trauma due to circumcision?
Right.
Could that be?
You would think.
Has there ever been a study of that? I
I'm sure
really
there
don't.
hasn't. Probably
uh,
not. I mean,
Probably
nobody
not.
wants to study the regular harms of circumcision. They just, because I mean, it's the doctors that of America are run by the AMA is run by Jewish dudes who want to continue the practice, want to say it's normal because they themselves have been harmed and their tradition of their religion. They, you know, so like only in America really is it's happening, and um, yeah, I guess I was going on a tangent there. I kind of lost it. I'm sorry there.
That's all
I think
right.
it kind of connects a little bit to a segment of
Oh
my
yeah,
proxyism thing when I talked that quote from Don Miguel Ruiz's book, that thing about humanity. They suffer from a disease that's handed down from parents, adults
oh
to their
yeah,
children. So that same
trauma.
programming, well, it was done to me, do it to the next one, do it to the next one,
Yes,
do it to the next one. Somewhere along the line, it needs to be severed, and
yes.
just end it. So
It takes the care to do that. You can't, and it's like, yeah, because the blocking it and not remembering and not thinking about it is just fear and is running to the fear side. And you got to like stand firm with care and look at the pain and the trauma.
It's
And it's
all
like,
part of the abuse victim cycle, which is very difficult to break that cycle and come out of it because without deep internal shadow work and healing of that trauma, you either have one or two situations that usually take place in the vast majority of cases, and the cycle continues. You either have somebody identifying with the abuser, in which then they continue to abuse other people and or abuse themselves, or somebody identifies with the victim and abuses themselves or takes abuse from others. So it's very difficult to break that abuse victim trauma cycle without deep knowledge of self and deep introspective shadow work techniques. So, I thought that was appropriate to interject there, but go ahead, Sean. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
oh, hey, that's totally appropriate.
Actually, that brings to mind the victim turning into an abuser as well,
Right.
which
That's
is
what happens to every dad that when the question happens, and
yeah,
of course they would never want to hurt their baby, but they don't think I was never hurt because they don't see the trauma. And it's the same mechanism with trauma-based mind control that creates the wall of not memory, where the partitions of the different parts of the brain that makes the DID.
The
That's
shock.
yeah, yeah,
The
and it
shock
like
early on in life that kind of
right,
disassociates the psyche a little bit,
right.
and yeah, for
Exactly,
sure.
because they tie the baby down to a board and he can't run and he can't fight, so he has to dissociate because the pain is too much, and they don't give anesthesia because it would kill the baby to have anesthesia. They only give a local anesthetic, and which barely works, doesn't even work. And up until the 70s, they used to say that babies don't feel pain. Ever since the Victorian era, they were doing open heart surgery to babies with no anesthesia because they believed that, oh yeah, the nerve endings aren't healed yet. Oh, they cry when they got a wet diaper. What do you mean? It's all the same. Chop them up. Dude, total Satanism.
That's sick shit.
Yeah, it's sick, dude. It's sick. And then in the 70s, they were like, oh, well, you want to keep doing it even though it's painful because it will make them not masturbate when they get to be 12 years old and masturbation's bad. And the parents are like, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense. Mutilate it. So, I mean, the parents do not have the right to, they don't have the right to do that. The only answer they can say is no, because like when the doctor says, should we mutilate your baby? They have to say no because it's not their decision to say yes. But we got into that in my thing. I don't need to rehash that.
it was
I think there's
wonderful.
quite a bit of stuff that lays in here, like Mark's psyops. This is another
Right.
psyop for normalization that's been going on for a long time. It's normal now. And how many
Yes.
YouTube videos I've watched recently, with men, the men that have actually are victims, but since they're men, you can't be a victim. But
Oh,
yet the
right.
things that happen to women get amped up so high,
Dude.
and it's like, oh, they, catcall me, they whistled at me. I go through the torture every day of this, but yet men
Yeah,
have
right.
part of their penis cut off. You can't say shit about that.
Exactly. if
It's
you
an
mention
organization
if you
that's part
mention
of that
female
society.
circumcision, they're like, ah, and there's like
Yes.
there's laws against that in America. Can't do that. But in America, male circumcision is routine. It's called routine infant circumcision. Like, what? I mean, and like Jennifer said, it like creates more of a divide between the sexes because the little boy doesn't trust his mom. He won't ever trust women, and that goes along with Mark's neo-feminism thing from before when he was talking about the division of the sexes. You can get 50% of them to hate the other 50%, and that that's one of the big psyops, the big plan. And I remember uh, what you were saying, James, about the 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 baby boys. The more baby boys die from SIDS also, and that's because of circumcision, because they bleed out. But they're like, oh, it's not circumcision; it's just sudden infant death, whatever,
Right.
because they don't want to say that circumcision is bad. They want to continue the practice, you know. And I do believe that there is a correlation there with what you're saying because they don't abuse the girls. They, there is that double standard, and all the little boys have to go through that trauma. Like I go to my neighbor's house, and he's got little grandkids, a little boy and a little girl. And a little girl is content and happy. A little boy's screaming all the time. And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm thinking about this presentation that I'm putting together. I'm like, obviously don't say anything to the guy, but it's apparent. And once you like can perceive with that lens, then because trauma really is a big key factor for a lot of things in this world that don't make sense. And it's the biggest tool, one of the biggest tools of Satanism, of organized Satanism, is trauma.
Yep. Yeah, the trauma that's put onto people's brains and affects the way that they act, the way that they feel. Their emotions.
Yeah.
It
Their
affects
worldview perception.
everything. Exactly.
Right.
The
Yeah.
makeup of their personality is affected.
Totally.
And if we're having a distorted makeup of one's personality thrown in the mix, then we're never going to really know the true nature of the person themselves, right?
That's why
So,
you get them young, just like
yeah,
circumcision,
bingo,
just like the meds with your presentation. 6 years old, they're
bingo.
giving them fucking. They're
Yeah.
excuse my language.
And
Sorry,
in
guys.
certain dude,
They,
it's not even that. It's
uh,
not even that. In certain cases, they're giving those medications to children at even younger ages.
Jeez.
And the younger the children are being, and I harp on this a lot, but the younger the children are being put into public schools, the younger they're being put at risk of being put onto these medications.
Right.
Psychotropic drugs have led to the downfall of so many children's wonder and imagination,
Yeah.
and just it's a chemical alteration
Lobotomy.
of their person, of their psyche. It's a biochemical mutation, so to speak, through medications of psychotropic drugs. It's disgusting, and it's really, honestly, something that affected myself and even other members of my family. And it really, what it comes down to is and I attack parents for this because in the eyes of the system, parents are the authority of their children, and you're not. So all right, I'll speak from my own experience because that's how I can say it the best. When I was put on these drugs, I was 8 years old. That was in 1997. And a year later, a story made national headlines of a little girl named Brooke Reynolds. Brooke Reynolds was on Ritalin for 10 years of her life. She was prescribed it at the age of 5. And in 1998, she committed suicide at the age of 15. It was a result of the drugs. There's no other way, ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the fact of the matter is, Brooke Reynolds' mother is on record of saying that she wonders if she had only homeschooled her child, if her little daughter would have been alive. Okay, this is a serious, serious, serious thing that people need to understand. There is no need for this. Certain head injuries, I get it. But when it comes to the heavy medication of children just to make them fall in line,
Yeah.
so the public school systems can feel better about themselves, to squeeze all these little children into one box where it's like that Pink Floyd music video for The Wall, where the kids are on the conveyor belt and they all go in as individuals and they all come out the other side wearing these masks. They all look alike and everything like that. They're getting churned out, they're chewed up and spit out the other side, and they're not themselves anymore. My own mother said that she didn't think that it was right, but she still did it. Like, she said that to my face. I'm not just making this up. She said it to my face. Like, oh, they just told me that, this is what you needed.
A
And,
belief in authority. You know what I'm
it was
saying?
a
Appealing to
complete
that
logical fallacy. Appeal to
because the
authority. Yep.
teacher said so. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Must
Yeah.
be
And that's how a lot of kids get put on these drugs. And even after they're put on drugs, something I left out of my presentation, was the amount of some children, and I was one of these children. The teachers do not give a fuck about these kids' privacy. They don't care about the kids' privacy. I was in the public school systems until I was in 8th grade. I had been held back a couple times, and I dropped out with their 8th grade level of education, and I've been better off for it ever since. One of the contributing factors to me parting ways with the public school system was the fact that these teachers would ask me in front of all the rest of the children if I had taken my meds that day. The brutal teasing that I received from the other kids affected my emotional stability more than anything else, because I'm a social person. Why else do I do these types of things with you guys? I'm a social person, like I thrive in social environments, and I really like being around other people. And yeah, when you're that young, you're the way that you think of yourself and the way that others think of you. A lot of kids, including myself, are affected by the way that other people treat them and how other people see them. It's absolutely inappropriate for these teachers to be spreading my medical information in front of the rest of the classrooms twice, 3 times a day.
Well,
And
I'll bet you that was a tool to get you to comply further. Because
what it is actually, it's a public shaming to make
Right.
kids that look like me and act like me look like we're the losers, when in fact I was the free thinker and I was the one willing to push the envelope and to not bow down and submit to their authority. I didn't know it that way back then, but that's how it was. That was literally how children like me operated. We see through. That's why I included in one of my slides that black and white cartoon of the one little kid looking out the window. All the other ones got the machines on their heads. It's like, some of us don't fall for the illusion of the authority. Some of us are able to push the envelope and to really like fight it off for as long as possible. And that's when they bring in the drugs. And that's
because they need to invade your mind.
Exactly. If they can't get you to do it willingly, they make you do it with a biochemical alteration.
It's shackles, right? And
right.
Yeah.
Hey, James, talking about biochemical alteration, Leslie had a good question that it resonates with a conversation you and I had. You talked about how in the 90s, all these prescriptions, and now we have all these people with identity crisis. They don't know gender, but it's a mental thing. You want to talk on that real quick?
So I consider the gender optional trans movement also to be a psyop.
That might be something more for Mark, actually.
Yeah, I could speak to that one. I'd have a little bit of a complex answer regarding whether, the whole gender confusion / gender dysphoria / trans movement is a psyop. I would say it probably emerged as a psyop over time, but I think it began simply as a hormonal disruption through chemical agencies. I mean, if you think about how many disruptive chemicals are in our food and water and even in the air. And when they go to work on the human physiology, one of the primary things that they attack is the hormonal system, and specifically testosterone. And if either sex does not have testosterone in the correct amounts, the whole hormonal system goes into complete imbalance and can create some of the conditions that people have then since called gender dysphoria. We have to look at this as pure bio war. This is, again, when I graphed out the types of warfare, I put bio war right in the middle, and it could fall into different categories. Well, in this instance, you could look at it as occult non-conventional warfare that is disrupting different hormonal systems in the body, and then creating an entire a different type of disorder in the human psyche, where you create lots of confused people. And again, when they're deciding whatever sexual orientation that they want to choose, I'm not claiming that there's anything immoral about that. I'm simply speaking to the dynamic of how this may have been done, or how this in fact was done. And, I think that the ruling class seizes upon that, understanding that, yes, they themselves and their corporate interests have introduced chemicals like that with a capacity to do that to the human hormonal system. And then they're going to seize upon that as an opportunity to create further division for the people that, have undergone that type of trauma and bodily disruption. They're going to try to, make them identify in smaller and smaller and smaller boxes, to ego identify in that way, and then to create, infighting and division in the human population, make it into a much larger and more disruptive issue than it ever would normally be. They're kind of fanning those flames, and that's part. That could act as a psyop in taking people off the really important issues of, freedom, the loss of rights, etc. That's how I see that one. It's something that I would say evolved into a psyop, but was originally biowarfare.
Mark, what do you think about the? I mean, it's the occult mockery factor of it, but then with Satanists, they want to turn nature into the mirrored opposite.
The inversion principle. I call that the satanic inversion principle, and other researchers have. Yes.
Think about how they have conquered the minds of these people so far that they want to turn themselves into the opposite.
Sure.
It's
And
like
it's not,
perfect,
again, it's not even just even about conquering the mind. It's about introducing chemicals into the system.
I agree.
Disrupt the
I believe they did that for this purpose.
Sure.
I believe the chemicals were intentional,
Sure.
and this was in the plans because this. I mean,
Because they want the
like
inversion of everything.
Exactly, and if
in the
people can
natural world,
choose
right?
to
They make
be
like
the
an
inversion of
androgynous, make like an androgynous glop of fucking people. Look at
Yes.
these
Right.
people, bro.
And
They
it's
think that they
eugenics,
could
all
just
that.
be whatever they want. Like
Right. This is a big part of certain sects and factions of the satanic community. I've actually briefly talked about it in my podcast series, where I talked about, the kind of differences between, like, let's say an organization like the Church of Satan, which I was a former member of, which did not take into its precepts, its tenets, the disruption and inversion of gender. They wanted strict gender boundaries. And you saw other satanic sects, such as the Whitehall Church of Satan in the Allentown area of, or in that surrounding area of Pennsylvania. That particular sect of Satanism had androgyny as one of its core principles. That's one of its core tenets, that it wanted to basically take away the uniqueness and individuality of the sexes, and androgynize people into one, sort of sexless race, so that it would be easier to manipulate.
Right.
So you have different, factions seeing things slightly differently within the world of the occult. Another way that they disagree is, again, some of them want to really remain covert and occulted, and some have this vision of coming out in the open and ruling humanity as the new kings of the world. They call this, in the occult world, the externalization of the hierarchy. So you have that little bit of disagreement. You could call it a minor, squabble or war in the realm of the dark occult. So they do occasionally disagree on things and methodologies, and eventually, the faction with, the more influence will win out and push the agenda in that direction that they prefer. But they're not without their squabbles and minor warring that goes on within the occult world itself.
I think that the Whitehall faction has has a more creating a more submissive people,
I would
because
agree.
if you look at I just did a show with the Occult Rejects. I posted it on, you'll have it in the player. And we talked about the new Barbie doll is a transgender Barbie. And as they're revealing it on the news, the Today Show, they show the plastic doll, and then the person starts talking about 250 laws that the government has created to protect transgenders. And then it said that its therapist, that it's been going to therapy for 22 years, and they and it said that its therapist said it's never too late to have a good shot to be a child, basically, and play with dolls. And then so this thing is like dressed up, and it plays with dolls, like it has to pay money to doctors to transform its body, even though it's not sick. And then it has to pay all this money for like makeup and dresses and all this. That it's I don't think it's a win-win for the Satanists. And the person, like, as they're advertising playing with this plastic doll, they're like, don't worry, the government will protect you and you can be a baby as an adult.
It's
really weird.
definitely a lot of it is definitely genuine. Like Mark said, it's coming from a chemical
I'm sure. Yeah.
altered. Being chemically altered through the shit like in the plastics, man, the synthetic estrogen.
I get that. But I'm just
a
saying
lot
that
of it is also
Barbie is like a mind
propaganda.
control device for the public, and it's been like pushing the line ever since the beginning of Barbie.
Yeah, they take it and they push that propaganda and they're fucking focus on the kids in school and shit. And it's like,
Right.
man, I know my girl's best friend's daughter, who didn't want to take the shot, wound up taking the shot to go away to college anyway, and the mother was okay with it. Right, goes away to college, and she's different, man. Like I've spoken to her, she's a great kid. She's not like everyone else. She could see the lunacy and all the, the liberal, like, ideologies and shit. She's away in college, and she called home crying recently, saying it's out of control, like as far as like the gender fluidity goes, and people acting as they just an animal one day. They're
Dude,
gay
I've
the
seen
next
that.
day. Furries, dude. Like that's
Dude,
real shit.
I saw a video of a person with a mask on their face that was a dog, and they were wearing like dog ears, and they said, "I'm a trans doggy," or whatever, and they're gonna live that life. I mean, the gender thing is the beginning. They're gonna push it towards, you're gonna be a robots, like whatever. You can be a dragon or some shit.
Yeah, it's part of solipsism overall.
Totally, yes.
They don't
at some
believe in
point
an
it becomes
objective
that.
reality.
Yes.
Again,
I'm glad that you agreed to be on
yeah,
my
we're,
show.
when it moves beyond, just what people have described as gender dysphoria, and it becomes, you can invent yourself into anything you want in your imagination, to identify with. I think that becomes bordering on solipsism. And again, the occultists love that because that is one of the things that they're trying to push on the public while they themselves don't engage it. They know that there's a truth. They know that there's objective reality. They're trying to keep that to themselves and keep that, away from everybody else, because if they're in the know and other people are ignorant, it's a child's play to control others that way. And that's part of what they're pushing things toward. They're pushing things toward further and further, um, completely solipsistic identification, where someone can say that they're anything. Again, it's part of the inversion principle. I would say it is a form of occult mockery, and again, it just plays into further division because people keep putting themselves in the further and further boxes, and then want to go to war over it with anybody that wants to challenge that or say, no, hey, there's an objective reality about that. You're not actually an animal. You're a human being, and then you just continue to just watch the slaves fight amongst each other. I mean, you got to look at it from the perspective of the occultist. It's genius, and it's really, it's brutal because it's like they'll just keep hitting people with every single solitary technique under the sun, and until people recognize it, wake up to it, and become more psychologically mature and sophisticated, these people have no reason to modify their tactics because
Yeah.
they continue to work
Works.
very, very easily on
Yeah.
the public.
They've been
More
chopping.
example, if you think
They've been.
I'm sorry, Sean.
No, I'm sorry. I'm
I was
jumping
just
around.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, think of the trajectory we're on. Like, these kids are fucked, Like, imagine 10, 20 years down the road. These are the kids that are gonna grow up and take on,
Yeah.
become
Yep.
doctors, local politicians, and
They're gonna
holy
vote.
shit, you
Yeah.
know? They they're
Yeah.
putting in work on these kids, man. Totally demoralize them, turn them into complete moral relativists. Like, yeah, we're in for some shit if we don't get our act together soon, you know?
So a lot of what I'm catching on to here, with this is that it seems as though we're being trapped in like this realm of effects, where if we were in the realm of causation, if we were in that realm instead, we'd actually be able to come up with a solution to some of the problems. If we're dealing with things on a causal level, then we can address them for what they really are. If we're if we're only stuck with the effects of a thing, then we are left to kind of just deal with what we've got. So I would like to like at least address that with this whole like the trans thing, going on, because Sean, you were talking about like Barbie dolls and stuff like that. That's like more in the realm of effects, right? Where we're talking where
Well,
that's where we're being kept. But then when
I
we're
mean,
talking
the
about the realm of
kids
like
are,
causation, we're
but
talking about
they're
like the
given
medications
that
and
to play
the
with.
chemical things. Hold on.
All right.
We're talking about like the things like Joe was saying about the plastics and everything. If we were dealing with the realm of cause, and what you're talking about with the Barbie dolls, that's actually kind of causation as well, now that I'm
That's
really
what I was
thinking about it,
saying. Yeah,
because
because it's like
it's
15.
perpetuating the
It's
cycle.
hitting the kid's mind and imagination
Right.
before they learn to be an adult and they grow up to be like Barbie instead of like
Right.
mommy.
While
Right. But
they're in the formative years, which is like
sure.
Exactly.
a
Right.
hypnagogic state, and
Yeah.
that's putting things directly into the subconscious mind as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have another question here of this topic. Do you think it is child abuse this trans agenda is pushed on before puberty? Yeah, because
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
like there's already studies coming out and proof and evidence coming out that like these puberty blockers and everything like that lead to decreased bone density. And when you're giving a young
Puberty
woman, a
block.
double mastectomy at the age of like 12 years old, and then just saying, oh well, like, all right,
They
not that
do
I
it
really
younger
like
than that.
go watch Matt Walsh's "What Is a Woman," and
Right.
that's all you got to know.
Yeah,
It's
really.
like
Talking.
it's incredibly
Scary
good.
shit, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Where they
The
got
way that,
people's minds at. Holy shit.
like what
I'd,
Mark
I'd
was
say
saying
almost
earlier about
all
how
of us
they're,
would
yeah,
probably agree. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I would assume we would all agree that's abusive toward children.
yeah,
People can identify as adults with whatever form of sexuality they want as long as it's consensual.
yeah.
Leave the children out of that.
Yep.
Let children be children. Let them develop on their own, and don't bring them into that at an early age. That development of sexuality and sexual preference will happen naturally, and that doesn't need to be forced upon children. And I think if you do that, it is a form of abuse, certainly.
Absolutely.
it's also they when they don't have the parts anymore to form an adult brain, because like your brain's not fully done until like you're 28.
No.
And if you chop off your testicles and turn it into something else, your brain's never gonna form into an adult. It's not gonna have that chemical pushing it into full adulthood. So it's gonna neuter you, like not
Yeah.
just but your brain too. It's gonna like it's a
All right. Well, let's switch gears here because we got
sorry.
some. We could be stuck in this pit for a while. So let's switch gears here, and we got a question for Will from Leslie. Hey, Leslie, good to see you in the chat all day. You've been contributing all day. Thank you so much from me to you. So, Will, please expand on how animosity is a path to a solution.
Animosity, or I wonder if
Animism.
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 Well, I think a lot of people can relate with animism, and people have pets. They have a relationship with their pet. They see that it's a unique individual being. And even with plants and a tree that's been out in front of their house for many years, right? But as soon as they step out of their house, they don't extend that knowledge and that perception to other beings or just the world in general. So bringing it back to the ancient past, I would say that even the church created the Crusades. There was a lot of death to the pagans, the shamans, because of their system, their worldview system of being in harmony with the natural world to an extent. Again, like in my presentation, I'm not saying we should practice paganism. These are just terms, just like anarchist is a term, but what do you do, right? What are the actions behind it? So I think this type of perception is highly focused in natural law principles and self-development. And that was my point of the presentation.
Well, I loved your presentation, and I loved how you explored animism in it. And I liked how you framed animism from a moral perspective, and understanding that it's a moral connection to life and nature. That's what getting in touch with natural law is all about. So I'm really glad that you explored that in depth in your work.
Awesome. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
great point. That's huge. And even in indigenous cultures today, that principle is correct and is moral. So yeah, thank you.
Say, Will, animism and the word anima, have been a part of my life for a while. I've been looking into that for a while, being a big Tool fan for many, 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 many years. And I don't know, man. I don't remember hearing you mention it, but how much of Carl Jung has influenced your presentation?
Oh yeah, Carl Jung definitely talked about the anima and animus quite a bit, actually. I mean, this is a good chunk of his work diving into that deep shadow work. And as our conversation thus far, we're talking about the proxy parent or the childhood trauma that is created. This is what diving into this kind of introspection is going to take you right to your childhood, right? So even we talked about circumcision. This is part of the process of thinking about that and bringing conscious awareness to these things that most people never question, because ultimately it's all generational mind control, right? We just pass it on down to our kids, and most people don't even think about it. I call it the Santa Claus effect. And so it's absolutely, yeah, no, Carl Jung's got excellent work on the subject for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can learn from him. I appreciate the application of his work, and one of my favorite bands, Tool. Like I already said, it's definitely a door opening kind of band for a lot of things. Actually, turns out if you really, Sean and I have been talking about Tool for like how long, Sean? Since like 2006.
I
And
brought
like,
I brought you to
yeah.
your Tool concert.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah, that was fun.
it's a fun way to like get into all of this. There's a lot in there
Yeah.
from that band where like they kind
I
of
think
plant
their
little
new
seeds.
album redeemed themselves. Like
Yeah,
they were like pushing Satanism in the beginning,
yeah,
and their latest album was I think it was about the pandemic. I think they were giving us an inoculum from fear, because they know that fear is the weapon that they're going to use. And some of those songs are talking about how the human race is at risk, and we need to, a call to arms and order.
yeah.
We need to get our shit together and not keep falling down this depravity further.
Yeah, one
Uh,
thing I want to add. Oh, sorry, Sean, cut you
no,
off.
please, no, please do.
Go for it, Will.
I wanted to say a couple things. As far as animism, children are great examples of having an animistic perception, right? They see life in nature. They everything is interactive. So there's a lot of good lot of good points there too. Even teddy bears, right? They put their energy in there and they give it some form of consciousness. But ultimately, like what you were saying, Sean, is fear.
Yeah.
Fear is the root. This
Yeah.
is what all the cultural religions have propagated, and people are ultimately scared of death, of dying. This is rooted in
And the loss of
material.
love, like the loss of love, like not having the love is the fear.
Exactly. And all fear is based in ignorance, right?
Right.
So people, this is another reason how um, engaging in animism, because it's all about life, but also about death, because they're equal.
Right.
They're same. It's just the opposite spectrum of the process
I
of
think life is
existence.
winning. I think life is winning a little bit, because we're still here, So
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
good. Anyway,
Exactly. Death isn't the opposite of life.
well, sure.
It's just it's an end of a
The
cycle. And I know
absence,
you know
I
this.
guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right, right. And
What
Mark taught us so much about the resonance of uh, the love and fear, and the involution and the evolution, and like that is the main focus of like what's wrong with satanic brains is they're focusing on the wrong end of the spectrum. You know?
Hmm.
Like you said, the root of is fear. Just want to bring that up.
Yeah, you cut the root, you're not going to bear fruit.
Yeah.
So, hey, Ivan, with your presentation, the subject matter of your presentation, something I would like to hear you speak about is the role of a powerful force called gratitude in replacing a defunct system of this monetary, shit that we find ourselves dealing with. So, what do you have to say about the role of gratitude in a money free society, proxy money free
Well,
society?
yeah, that boils down to the programming again as to why things are done, right? I think that Aboriginal guy in his video, he referenced like the old times that they used to just give, whatever is necessary. We just share and everything. So it's part of that programming. So gratitude, I think, fits into that it's that appreciation for life, And I always bring it down to the body, how the body works. You know, Nothing is paying anything else. Everything just depends on each other. The heart doesn't send a bill to the stomach for, the blood it pumps, or to the liver and the brain. Everything has its function. Everything just exists, to keep the one body alive. So the all is one and the one is the all. So in there, you can say, I would say, it's a form of gratitude when you do your part, because it's that flow, at the ebb and flow. So my gratitude is doing what this thing needs to survive or to exist, because it's doing what it needs to do for me to exist and survive. So the gratitude, I think, could just translate into doing your part. So just living, existing, and doing what needs to be done without the proxy of, well, if there's no money involved, I'm not going to do what I need to do. And right there, that's the part that disconnects. That's the problem. That's what fucks everything up.
I
So
think it's
yeah.
like Mark said. I think it's going to be harder to shatter that illusion, the illusion, in the belief in money than authority. Like to
Well,
think about getting to a level of consciousness to where we're operating, where we're doing stuff for the benefit of us as a whole, as a community. That's it's a long way to
Yeah,
go.
a friend texted me while Mark's presentation was going on, saying, "Wow, it's incredible again how stuff that I talk about, Mark talks about, and we have areas that we intersect." And it's like, Mark and I didn't plan any of this, or we weren't like, "Okay, the week of this or this month, we're gonna be along the same line." No, this is
Sure.
synchronicity. This is like when you know what's going on and you can, align to truth. You may think of a certain topic and say certain words, and someone else is over here, and it's gonna resonate. Things connect somehow. So yeah,
Yeah.
that
It happens organically and synchronistically, and doesn't have to be forced, because people who are both exploring the truth are going to hit upon similar ideas eventually. I'd like to add an addendum to what both you and Joe said there, Ivan, and to speak to James' original question. I would say that gratitude could be considered the true uh, future monetary system, if you want to look at it like that. It's the true form of exchange between human beings. Ultimately, if people had to consider if gratitude was the only kind of quote currency, how rich would you be? How wealthy would one be?
Right.
Right? How many times have people actually said to you, "Thank you for what you do. I really appreciate it. You have my gratitude." If you measured your service to others and your service to the truth via how much gratitude comes back your way, I think that's the real measure of wealth, personally.
Hell yeah, that'll tell you a
Right.
lot about yourself.
Right. It's all about
Totally
doing the
agree,
right
Mark.
thing, doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
That's it.
Mhm.
You know, that's actually still happening these days. The Rainbow Gathering, Rainbow Family of Living Light, they throw a party every year, and everybody's welcome, and there is no money exchanged. Everybody works to help all the kitchens, and all the kitchens feed all the people. It's a week with you don't have to bring any money. You don't have, all you bring is a spoon and a bowl, and you'll be taken care of because people love you. And when you get there, you'll notice that you love them too, and you want to help. It's natural. It just happens. And there's organization that happens, and these people don't have a leader, and they all understand morality, and they live on the road, and they make it work, and there is a system that it is existing today, and everybody needs to go to welcomehome.org to see when next year's is going to be going on. They posted in June. So I just want to say that it does exist and I've seen it. So,
And you
you
feel
know,
great afterwards, like when you do
yeah,
something for someone. You
yeah.
know,
And
that's
when you,
so
yeah,
satisfying to your soul. When you do
totally.
help someone out.
I think
Yeah.
I've
And
mentioned before that's like a true religion, binding back to the day you were born, to being childlike before all the programming got in of incentive, profit, and all this stuff. No, you're a child. You give, receive. Like one of the memes I shared in the talk with that Ubuntu. That African tribe, instead of one running competition, survival of the fittest, me first. No, they all go together. And then at the
right,
end, what does he say? Ubuntu, because
right.
how am I gonna be happy if all of us aren't happy? You see,
Yeah,
so it's that mindset of a child. That's why children are such a big target, because they're the purest, they're the most closest to source, before everything got all messed up. So that's why they got to attack them. And we got to
yeah,
kind of be like children, in our mindset of right and wrong, and kind of like behavior, but have the knowledge of experience of real world, but yet with the simplicity of children to keep it, basic. Like I said, religion, true religion, going back to truth.
And
Yeah,
that's the
that's
concept of be as wise as a serpent and as gentle
yeah,
as a dove.
yeah. That's something that Will focuses on a lot in his work is the relationships between adults and the children that they look after. Is something that I've decided to take on and everything, and so actually, I'm sorry, Mark, but you're the only one that isn't a father in this group, and it's something that we've all taken on, this immense responsibility to look after our kids in the best capacity that we can, given the knowledge that we currently have. And it's an incredible responsibility, and it does take a relation to that childlike wonder to bring yourself back to that point, to be able to kind of put yourself back in those little shoes, to see the world from their perspective so you can relate to them, identify with what they're going through, and better help them through the struggles of being a little kid, being a little person in this fucked up world. And to see the way that their actions, the way that their emotions, everything is manifesting, and how they're discovering the way the world works. There's a lot of things that the control structure that they try to do to perform intervention between a child's relationship with nature
that's
and
right.
their understanding with it. And I think that all of our presentations today can be associated with the way children see the world. And yeah, cheesy quote, but children, yes, they are the future. We're going to be, these little people. They're going to grow up. They're going to get big, and they're going to be the ones responsible for the way that the world largely is operated. And it's not until we really stop traumatizing children and doing fucking crazy things to children that we are going to see real change in this world. I'm of the opinion that it's a primary focus of mine. And if I can help others see the importance of that, job well done.
I think there's no more powerful influence than the influence of conscious parenting
Yeah,
upon the consciousness of
It's
a
the
human
answer.
being.
That's the
That's
answer,
it.
man, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who are listening. Everybody who's grown up, they don't want to listen to you talk. Like my son is like, "Daddy, talk to me." He'll listen to anything I say. It's
Yeah.
great. It's
Yeah.
Think
That's
about
what
that
the
responsibility, because
well, yeah, I say the
you're
good
gonna
stuff.
start. Yeah, if they're like 15 and you're like, well, when my day is Playboy and Penthouse, and they'll look at the Hooters. What kind? The responsibility. So we talk about that, or the video games, or do we talk about natural law, truth? And
Right.
so yeah, it
Talk
is a
about
big
everything,
responsibility.
brother.
Yep.
It's crazy. My daughter is 3 now, and we're teaching her right and wrong. Don't take that
Yeah.
from him. Her cousins, and don't go. You start to install these principles at the earliest age. As soon as they begin to develop, some thought, and can recognize, like, okay, no, I got in trouble for doing that. That hurt him or her. It's babies, man, as young as you possibly could start teaching.
Hell yeah.
and they learn very naturally because it is a natural state, right? So I mean, they can experience it. They can see when they're doing harm. I mean, but the social engineers, this is why they want to put that wedge in the family dynamic as early as possible. They want to create that schism in the anima and animus, which that also represents life and meaning. So you see where that goes. So yeah, I'm a huge proponent for conscious parenting. It is that category can change the dynamic.
That's why it's so
And
important to
Al,
be
And
on the same page
repetition being key.
with your partner.
I was saying repetition
Yeah.
being key, and again, like that other little still shot from the movie Room that I used. The child is still plastic, malleable. That like Mark said it. They're in that stage. They're still programmable. So that's why it's important. Those first, 7, 8, 10 years.
that's why they traumatize them
That's
young.
it. After that, they start getting set in their ways, and it's hard to break that. It's hard to shatter their illusions of reality.
Right.
You got to get to them while those illusions or reality is still being formed.
Right. And when something is still plastic, and like I liken it to a bolt, if you keep torquing on it and torquing on it and torquing on it, eventually that plasticity, it's going to snap. Because how that happens, I mean, I work on cars all the time. So like it's just the nut and the bolt is getting stretched out and stretched out and stretched out, because as you're screwing it in and everything like that, the threads want to force that bolt to go further and further into the nut through through whatever you're attaching it to, and it's just pulling it itself apart, and it's going to snap when it gets to its breaking point. That's how plasticity works with torque. And that's what they do to people's minds.
Yeah. I learned, being a parent and teaching my kid, I recognize like other people's parenting, and then I see the other adults, and I'm like, whoa, with a different kind of lens of understanding why people are and how they do. And parenting will give you a different like understanding, or maybe if you like, you don't have to be a parent, but if you can put on the lens and understand from there, and you see the others and the programs that were instilled in them when they were young, and how they, the kids eat McDonald's, the parents eat McDonald's, they all look the same. It's the generational, the way that they do everything. It's really, it's intense when you get
societal.
And the obfuscation comes in when they'll blame it on genetics. So it's in the DNA. It's a family thing. Like, no, it's programming. It's a family thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And that's what they say about ADHD, is that it's a hereditary thing. And it's like, no, what's hereditary is being a rebel. You pick that trade up from your parents. You pick that trade up from your parents, and this is the thing. Like like why I included the epidysgenics agenda in my presentation is that this is a further implementation of breeding out rebels. It literally is. These are children that don't follow social norms, and they don't sit down, they don't sit still. And then what do you do? And they don't do that. You medicate the life out of them. It's like, can it be
We
any other way? Am I
we need
not
them to
making
grow up
sense?
to be
Like,
on our side. We need them to
right,
grow up to have normal heads so they can be here with us to like help, fight this, Satanism. Like it's gonna.
Well, that's why it's important to have a relationship, with your partner before you have a child, so you guys are on the same page, at least when it comes to natural law principles. Like
right.
dude, me and my girl were at odds from day one, and I'm with her now 10 years, making her watch Mark Passio
Congratulations.
presentations, David Icke presentations, like
I bet she loves
pounding
you
it.
now.
It wound up the seed wound up blossoming, dude. So when we have our kid, now we're on the same, not with everything, but on what we need to avoid in order to protect our daughter from the state.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's an amazing thing when you are united on those core principles, man.
That's right.
Yeah, and when when you have children and you're not with the other parent, it's something that a lot of people might be turned off from hearing. But you need to put your differences aside and realize that there's a bigger thing at play here than your petty little egos,
Dumbass
and you need to put those
bullshit.
aside for the sake of the child. You know, the ego is going to get in the way of you being able to perform and to be there for your children. Like if you're not
Yep.
with your, I've seen it happen in real time, and it can destroy it. It can destroy your children. It really can. Get over yourself. You have a child.
And that causes more division between the child and the parent. And then the school comes in and says, "Oh, well, here, we'll give you some beliefs to take," and
Sure.
because the kid is absorbing something, and if they could just keep the kid at school all day, and the kid would rather be at school than go home because the parents are crazy and yelling. Like
Another observation
so,
that I made now that I'm a parent is like societal and outside influences are on your kid. Like, and again, my daughter is 3, and we teach her as much as we could. We reprimand her every time. Take no shit, And we're playing with her cousins who are out of control. Like, there's her brother and sister-in-law. They're not good parents. I'll put it like that. Let them run amok. They're screwed out of each other. They're nasty to their grandparents. Like, and I watched that rub off on my daughter, and, you could see like how, societal influences can impact so much you could do as a parent, really. And that's why putting them in the public school system amongst these other children who aren't raised right, it's a dangerous thing. And that's why it needs to start young and yet install these, core principles in them at the youngest age,
Never let your enemy teach your children.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
even
saying?
with parents that have grown children, right? You still have that impact. It all comes down to the individual and being the change. So you can have that influence on your kids, even though they're grown. And when someone becomes moral and resonates and aligns with truth, you actually become a proxy parent, right? When all our truth seekers, we're seeking information. People are looking for information, and there's a slight aspect when you discover someone like Mark that actually fills that void that we didn't get when we were younger. So this is the saying, right? It takes a village to raise a being.
Right.
There's always mentors and there's influences.
Right.
So yeah, I just want to say that.
Yeah, I'm with 5 of my mentors right now.
God bless you, brother. Yeah. That's great.
Inspire and elevate, motivate and elevate.
I got a question here. So what would be the best approach someone to take to show them Mark's work? Toss it to him like a hot potato. Good luck getting your illusions.
So wait.
Pull the pin out of the grenade and throw it into the trench.
I would say don't show them my work. Let them listen to it. because I think they should start with podcast one. And I think that, you know, will lay the foundation of my work. Then after you listen into the podcast series, into the audio series, then I would start on some of the video series. So I think listening to my work as a beginning, as an introduction in the early podcasts is one of the better ways to introduce people to my work. I would say personally.
Mark, I introduced your work to James actually a long time ago. You did a podcast with Jay Parker, and
Oh
you
yeah.
put like all of it in. It
Yeah.
was like 1 hour, and it had, or maybe an hour and a half or something.
Yeah,
and
that
it
was
had
heavy duty. Yeah, yeah.
everything. I was just like, I dropped that one on him because it's not like a 9 hour natural law thing, you know.
I would say,
And
I would
it
say for
hooked him.
most
It's
people,
good.
don't start that way. But yeah, that'll definitely hit
Oh
people hard.
yeah, it was the plunge into the deep end for that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
It worked.
supposed to get
You're
yelled
admitting
at for an
it's
hour.
It
traumatized.
worked. It worked. It was great.
James
It was
is traumatized into the truth.
Yeah, well, that's how it works. I mean,
No, some people react that way. They really do. They need to be said, "Hey, fuckhead, wake up." And
Oh,
for every
smack
now and
upside
then,
the fucking
I was
head.
nice
Yeah.
about it.
no. You were nice about handing me a presentation where I proceeded to get yelled at for an hour
Yeah. But no, it
by
was
somebody
great.
who's not you.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I understand why he's yelling, and the stuff that he's saying deserves the yelling, you know, and that kind of, you know, it's a hammer. It's like, wham, hit your ear with it, you know, and it's great,
Right.
and it really works well.
Just like how Ivan gave me a podcast that he and Joe did together before I ever met Joe, and I have been sober off of alcohol ever since because of the way Joe talked about alcoholics and the importance of being out of that state of mind in order to be conscious and to do the great work and to be spiritual. And you're a joke if you think that you can, be an alcoholic and live that type of lifestyle and to be doing this work. So, it comes in all shapes and sizes, and it comes in all different ways to have other people kind of knock some sense into you every now and then. And then I was introduced to Will Keller's work, and that made me realize, just how important it is to be patient with children,
Right.
and that is been huge. So when I say I'm sitting here with 5 of my mentors, I mean it. Mark, when you and I had our one-on-one personal podcast, I told you that you were one of the people that lit a fire under my ass, and that now you know who the other people are.
He knows us too, so it's
Yeah.
great. We're all buddies already.
Yeah.
We're all
you know,
peers in the great work, and that's
Yeah.
what it's
Yeah.
all about. It's about sharing that burden and helping to move human consciousness forward little by little. And in that effort, many hands makes for light work, for lighter work. That's why we have to get more people involved in taking that kind of action, and the effort will accelerate and improve. And hopefully we can do that, and we can move the world into a place where it's headed in a direction that we really want it to go.
Yeah. Amen to that. Amen
Do you
to
see
that.
it, Mark? Do you see any, like, what's your take on where, people's minds are at? I
Well, I
mean,
got to say, in an effort like this makes me feel hopeful because I see people putting this work out in a tremendously powerful way. So that makes me feel really good. As far as the bulk of humanity, we have a long, 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 long haul to go. But with efforts of people like you guys and other speakers of events like this and the Freedom Under Natural Law Conference and other efforts like that, I think we are making some headway. And I think more people are hearing the message, and that process just has to continue to accelerate. And I think we just put our pedal to our foot to the pedal, and press it down, and just keep moving forward and keep going with it. I think that's all we can really do as individuals, regardless of what happens, regardless of whether we quote win in the end. we have to just stay persistent and continue in that effort. Constant effort is going to help improve the situation, and that's what we need to continue to do as individuals.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
fun. It's
Amen.
the labor is not so hard. It's easy to do. Like you get an idea and you have to say it. You got to create it. It's like once you get the hang of it, it's like So
Well, now that we got a community of minds, that fucking think alike and are all united on natural law principles, like this is an amazing thing, dude. Like this is powerful shit that we got right here. Like all the intent and that energy that went out today and over the past 2 weeks with the funnel conference and this, like it's got to mean something,
Absolutely, I think it does. I mean, that's what the idea of creating art is all about. Making media is a form of art. And putting that creative energy out into the world is what helps improve consciousness. So, I hope it serves as an inspiration for other people. Look what the people who organized this great event can do. Look at what the organizers of Freedom Under Natural Law did. I mean, people have to see it's simply about improving your skill set a little bit, learning a little bit of tech, and then you could organize with other people and you combine your efforts and you could really put out like some really great, possibly world-changing material. So that's, my hope in all of it is that other people are inspired by an event like this. That's ultimately what putting on any conference, even a virtual conference like this, is all about. There's something to be said, of course, for in-person, meeting people, sharing that type of in-person energy. But even in the digital space, putting on a virtual event like this can be very, very powerful and transformative. And I'd like to see even more events like this continue to happen. So again, I just have to say thank you to everybody involved, and you guys have my gratitude for continuing the great work in this capacity, and you guys all did a phenomenal job.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Mark.
Mark.
bro.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you. I was thinking many hands make light work, like you always say, because a long 14, 15-hour day, James
Yep.
held the fort, but it was
Yep.
comprised of all of our little parts coming together, so
Yeah.
many hands do make light work.
Is that how long it's been? Just kidding. I know how long.
You had me look at the clock like, wait, what time is it?
I damn near paced a hole in the floor back here. The stream caught me standing in front of that thing, looking at my phone.
On Devlin's presentation, all of a sudden I'm looking at my phone. I'm in a store with my girl. I see James. I'm like, oh shit. I'd call him up real quick. I'm like, yo, you're on the screen.
I look over. I'm like, oh no! I run over. This is the part of doing the great work in this day and age. Though it's fun to get into the technology, but you end up hitting these snags and these roadblocks when you hit. You try to do live streams, even if you're not doing a live stream, you hit these roadblocks. These speed bumps, if you will, and it's just important to kind of stick to your guns, have a plan, and to kind of try to your best to roll with the punches and not let it get you down. Because like Mark was saying, like a real in-person conference has its own elements of surprise and everything. And a completely technologically dependent thing like this is going to be completely different. And it's very important to have the rudiments down and to know the ins and outs of your software to the very basics. That way, when complications do arise, when that situation that we're talking about, I look over and I'm on the screen and it's not Mark Devlin's presentation. Well, we had it back up and running in the matter of 45 seconds.
You handled that very well.
Why
dude.
is
If that
that?
was me, I would have
well done.
freaked out and been fucking cursing, hitting
Right.
shit.
I'm not a tech whiz, but
In
I
a
was
nervous way.
prepared. I was prepared with what I was dealing with. I'm not a tech whiz at all. That's why I'm taking Mark's class, so I can be a little bit better at being a tech whiz. But I was familiar enough with the software that we're using to handle a situation like that quickly. And when you're doing things like making content, it's important to know. It's important to know the rudiments, to know the basics of what you're dealing with when it comes to the software. Handle
And
those problems.
You know what I
one
wanted
of
to say? What you're talking about now, the word fear. I really want to emphasize
Yeah.
how fear and 9 out of 10 people trying to do what we're doing here would have shut them down right away. But yet I can see all of us, there was be some element of fear, but we work through that. Just keep going. Like, I don't want to have to do. And how many people don't do anything out of fear? And yet here we are in the middle of it, you know, and James, you had stuff. Fear would have had you just shut it down, like fuck it, cancel the whole conference. But no, you work through the
Yeah.
fear, and that's something important because
It's not an option.
that's just for a 1 day conference. Now imagine the whole big picture of actually doing work physically outside, and physical things, against the authorities. We're just trying to freaking speak for an hour and put 10 of them together for 10 hours. That's work. Think about the fear in doing that, let alone the real life action,
Yeah.
that's going to be required eventually down the road, inevitably, if
Right.
anything's going to really change. And that's where I'm fucking trying to focus at or look at, but it's like, damn, So I don't know.
Right.
Little rant for me.
So Will, what is that? You taught me this a while back, that the two frames of mind when dealing with a situation, they both start with R's. What was it?
You're either going to react or respond.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
for sure. I mean, failure is going to happen. And in my opinion, failure is good because you learn what not to do. You transmute that shit and keep it moving. Like what you said, Ivan, fear. A lot of people know through and through natural law, objective morality. They know this information and they're sitting and they're not acting out of fear. So I am seeing an increase of people starting to do their own work, and I love it. I love seeing someone new that I either discover, someone shows me their work. It's the greatest feeling inside, and I support anyone that's just starting to make content. I love seeing that. And people coming together like this event just amplifies the vibration and the frequency. Like Mark says, turn up the volume. Let's crank it up, and this adds to that. And then again, it's all about inspiration. Hopefully, we can create the ripple effect.
Fuck yeah. Well, I guess it's almost midnight, guys. It's almost midnight. So why don't we work toward wrapping up this roundtable and wrapping up the day, and just carrying on with our evenings. I want to go to sleep.
You've earned it.
I have a 2-hour drive ahead of me.
Oh,
But guess what? It was worth it because got to spend the day watching the conference with some great people, and I'm sure everybody really learned a lot. It was good to have the watch party, and be in a group environment for something like this, which is really the first time I've attended a virtual conference like this in a group environment. So that was an interesting dynamic, and I was glad to be part of that. I want to thank my buddy Jeff for organizing that.
nice.
So I just want to say once again, guys, you did just an incredible job. Brilliant effort. Worked through any of the small snags that happened, but overall, tremendous success. And I think it was an inspiration to a lot of people. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, bro, for contributing. Love your presentation. You always nail it. Always.
Mark, will you let everyone listening know your website, because we have that question in the chat, not just for you,
Sure.
but this person wants to know everybody's websites.
Sure. My main website is whatonearthishappening.com, and I also host the collective of conscious media creators known as the One Great Work Network, and you can find that at onegreatworknetwork.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark, for being a part of not only this roundtable, but topping off the day with that hard-hitting presentation, man. That should open up a lot of people's eyes, and even especially within our own community. It's tough to hear, but it needs to be heard. It needs to be taken in, to really reflect upon yourself. Like, are you really of sound enough mind? Do you have the mental fortitude for what we do? So You know, it's tough. It's tough. I know. I harp on it all the time. I mean, but I don't want to go. All right. Next, we got. um, uh, so Sean, we'll go counterclockwise or
All
clockwise.
right. So you can find myself and everyone else here at the One Great Work Network. And so that's onegreatworknetwork.com. And you'll find me under the creator section under my name, Sean McCann. And you can find all of my videos and audio podcast under Wake the Dead. And I make t-shirt designs. I sell anarchy-based designs and fine art photography t-shirts at storefrontier.com/wake the dead. Thank you very much for having me, James. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah,
Awesome.
man.
Thank you, Joe. Also, yes, both of you together.
Remember me?
Yeah, I love you, buddy.
Joe who?
Yeah.
What?
Anyway.
Oh, the creator of the yeah. All right.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm a dick. I'm a total dick. I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Anyways,
I'll smack myself when I get off camera. Anyway, next. Sorry.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much. You know, for people out there, you know, that don't know by now, Sean and I have been friends for a very, very long time. He was actually the first person invited to this conference with us, and you did not disappoint me. You didn't disappoint, and you know what? I bet you didn't disappoint anybody in the audience. That's for sure. So thank you so much, man. Thank Jennifer for all of us as well. Couldn't have done it without her too.
I will. Yeah, she was a big.
It's important, man. It's really important. We, you know, all you ladies out there doing the great work, man. It's very important. We're a bunch of dudes, you know. Like we love running our mouths. We need the ladies out there. You know, we got to get you on the battlefield too, because it's that feminine aspect of true care that we need to reinforce within our movement, and to be able to bring you guys into the fold and know your importance in this. So I wanted to say
moms
that
to
too.
speak to moms. It's important because you know that's a powerful person in the family, most important relationship in these kids' lives. And for mothers trust other mothers, they understand. That's a huge piece. They're not going to trust you or me.
We're my mother was a mother. So Will Keller, what's up, dude?
Yeah, man. My websites. I'm also on the One Great Work Network, and if anyone listening isn't familiar with that website, you have close to 60. It might even be over 60 other content creators, all under the umbrella of objective morality, truth, natural law. I mean, there's all types of flavors. So I highly recommend checking that out thoroughly. Excuse me. My other website is naturalfreedomleague.com. And then also I'm one of the organizers for the Freedom Under Natural Law conference. And you can check that website out as well. James and Joe, I appreciate you guys for setting up this conference. Sean, Mark, Ivan, and all the other presenters, it's an honor. I highly respect all you guys, and thanks to all the viewers that tuned in. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man, you brought you brought the heat, my dude. You really did, and you know, with your tech issue from the Funnel 2 conference, you know, it didn't break your stride, you know. So like, I really appreciate you bringing that to us this evening, man.
Thanks. Yeah, and I actually have part 2 to that presentation that was at the Shattering the Illusion conference, which will be I think I'm going to release it live in a couple weeks. So
awesome.
We're going to go a little deeper.
Awesome. Ivan, what's up, man? It's been a while since Connecticut, bro.
Has it been already? Wasn't it like last
week?
What? Feels like yesterday to me. Yeah. I'm the only one. Wait. So yeah, you, James, and Sean know each other, and then I've met Mark. Mark, you know, we met almost 10 years ago now. 2013, Free Your Mind 2, and now look at how far we've come. Jesus. And then Joe, met Joe in New York, and then James in Connecticut, and we got to get all of us to head over to Philly, to the original stomping ground sometime. But anyway,
one of these days.
All that wishful thinking aside, yeah, my website, freeyourmindaz.com. I have truthmindreality.com, and I'm also on the One Great Work Network. But yeah, all you guys, excellent work. Like I said, many hands make light work. We learn from each other. Mark, big inspiration. Not a cult for all those shitheads out there putting crap on the internet. I mean, come on, get your heads out your asses. That's something I wanted to get into when I talked about, other shattering illusions amongst freaking, anarchist groups and freedom groups and everything. Come on, what the freaking hell are we trying to do here?
Division.
Yeah. But anyway, so keeping it good. Yeah. Will, we got to go ahead and hook up sometime. Sean,
Absolutely.
I got movie stuff coming up. So now that
Yeah,
this
we should
presentation's
talk.
done, Mark, we did
Awesome.
that my last episode was with Mark on movies. So yeah, it's a bit of finding your niche and hitting it hard, and that's what I want to get back to, is put out some stuff on movies. There's a lot of good stuff that I've seen recently, old stuff, going back and being like, there's always been truth in these movies. We just never had the proper lens on to see them. So we, expect quite a bit of content coming out here soon.
That's
So
great.
that's it.
Yeah, that's true, man. Everybody's got a little bit of a personalized flavor to bring to the party. It's the Baskin Robbins of truth, as I like to call it. And so like I really like how you do what you do and the style you do it. Man, I really appreciate it. We got to hook up too, man. There's a lot of Marvel stuff coming down the pipe that we're gonna have to talk about. The new Captain America movie is called New World Order, for crying out loud.
Just a
man.
coincidence. Coincidence.
Just
Yeah,
nothing to see here, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
And so man,
Yeah, we gotta get our show back up and running too, bro.
That's right.
Yep.
Fighter.
Yeah, couldn't have done this without you, Ivan, man. You were a very, very big part of moral support throughout today and the last few months, man. I really appreciate it. I'm really, really happy to have you
No
involved.
problem. The brotherhood. We need to get the sisters involved, like you said. Yep.
F&A.
It's late. She's in the other room. She's gonna be here for 2 hours talking. God bless her, though. We love you, Jennifer. Sorry.
Well, guys, we're gonna get Joe and I are gonna give you guys a nice send off, and then Joe and I will close it out here. So, thank you so much, each and every one of the speakers from the day, and you guys that were involved in the roundtable this evening.
Awesome.
So
glad to be here. Thanks.
We'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Take care.
Bye, Evan. Joe, we did it, man.
Oh yeah, man.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, is there anything else? Anything we forgot? Anything you want
Our
to
website, find me at freedomforall.online. All my music and my podcasts are up there for free, and there's also a ton of other information from other researchers and shit up there, presentations, documentaries, essential reading. You can find a ton of stuff on there, everything for free. freedomforall.online. I got 2 albums coming out, a solo one called Ultima Ratio, which means the last reason of the people, and what else? Another album with Diesel Automatic, a joint album with Diesel Automatic, both dropping by the end of 2022. I don't have any set dates yet, but they're almost done. They're almost wrapped up and ready to be put out there. So yeah, stay tuned. Go to freedomforall.online, sign up to my email list on the homepage of my website, and you'll receive an email notification when I upload anything to the site. So yeah, that's it for me, brother.
Awesome. Well, we did it, man. We made it.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And I really like I began, I'll end and say that my heart is so filled with joy and warmth to be a part of this community, to be among so many great speakers and thinkers and courageous individuals. And I cannot wait to see what the future brings within our community and within the truth movement. We're going to be, the pace is picking up, folks, and it's time that we activate and we get into it. I just said that the pace is picking up, but I'm rapidly losing steam. So, without any, man, there's so many things I want to say, You know what I mean, Joe?
I hear you,
Yeah.
dude.
But what?
I'm just eternally grateful for everyone, man. Everyone that all the presenters and the work they put forth. Like I said, I am blown away. Everyone exceeded my expectations, and it was just an amazing day, dude. We did it, you know.
Yeah,
And
we
I
did.
can't wait to rewatch everyone's presentation too, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
man. Yeah, we'll be able to actually watch it without any glitches.
yeah, without stressing, like, oh god, is it gonna glitch? Is the audio gonna lag? Yeah, man, I
Yeah,
actually get to sit and enjoy everybody's presentations. But yeah, once again, dude, excellent job, bro. Couldn't have
thank you.
done it better myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's do this again soon.
Why
Let's
not?
do it.
Why not?
Why
All
not?
right.
An
Well,
annual thing, semi-annual.
let's start planning it. I'm going to start right now. I'm going to start writing down names.
No, I need a decent break here, buddy. All right.
Oh, well, all right. You go and be lazy. I'll be here working. All right, man. All right. All right. All right. So, I guess the best way for me to really end this, is the same way I end my live streams on my show, and just to remind everybody out there that doing the right thing isn't always easy, but we do it no matter what, no matter the cost. It's important that we learn the difference between right and wrong action, what it really means, how it really operates, and we apply that to ourselves, and we choose to perform right action over wrong action, no matter the cost. My name is James Cordiner. My website is freeyourmindne.com. My podcast is called A Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth. This has been an amazing experience, everybody. I'm thanking everybody one last time for coming along for the ride. And you know what? You'll hear from us all very, very soon. Until then, remember, truth, love, and freedom. These things will prevail. I love you all. Agape and good night.